The moment determining the fate of two major families in the Philippines has arrived. The struggle between current President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and former President Rodrigo Duterte has reached a white-hot stage. If the Marcos family emerges victorious, the Duterte faction will face more intense retaliation. If the Duterte family successfully turns the tables, Marcos Jr. will undergo a comprehensive review and liquidation. Both families are currently employing various means to suppress their opponents. So, who will ultimately succeed in having the last laugh? How will the drastic changes in the Philippine political landscape impact the situation in the surrounding regions? Local time on May 12, the midterm elections in the Philippines officially began voting. The election primarily focuses on three key points. 1. Re-election of half of the Philippine Senate seats. Among the 24 Senate seats, 12 will be up for renewal. 2. Re-election of all 317 House of Representatives seats. All seats in the House will undergo fresh elections. 3. Re-election of all local municipal chiefs and council members. Positions at the municipal level, including mayors and councilors, will be recontested. Among these, the core focus is the Senate re-election, which will directly impact the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte. In February this year, the Philippine House of Representatives initiated an impeachment against Sara on charges of grave offenses such as illegal activities and corruption. The impeachment case will ultimately be put to a vote by the Senate in July this year. According to Philippine law, the impeachment case requires the support of 2/3 of the Senate to pass. If Sara is convicted, she will be removed from office and banned from politics for life. Given that Duterte is currently detained at the Hague Criminal Court, Sara is in fact the sole hope of the Duterte family. For this reason, this election is also regarded as a preview of the 2028 Philippine presidential election. If Sara can retain her position as vice president, she will be a strong contender for the next presidential election. On the other side, Marcos Jr. is paving the way for his son Sandro, hoping to continue consolidating the family's ruling power. Therefore, the main battlefield for the showdown between the two sides lies in the 24 seats of the Senate. Marcos Jr.'s requirement: he must secure 16 seats to pass the impeachment case and oust Sara from office. Sara's threshold for survival: her camp needs at least 9 senators to oppose the impeachment to safeguard her political career. For this reason, the 12 seats up for re-election in this term renewal are of decisive importance. In addition, the 317 seats in the Philippine House of Representatives are also crucial to the Duterte family. If forces supporting the Duterte family can secure a majority in the House of Representatives in this election, Duterte may have hope of returning to the Philippines. This is because Duterte's trial at The Hague is set to enter a new phase in September. And the charges by the International Criminal Court require relevant organizations within the Philippines to provide evidence for cooperation. Meanwhile, both houses of the Philippine Congress have the authority to demand that the Marcos Jr. government stop providing support to the International Criminal Court. In that case, the Hague Court would be unable to obtain more evidence to convict Duterte. Therefore, the seats in both houses of Congress in this midterm election will determine the fate of the Duterte family. Marcos Jr. is well aware of this and naturally will not allow his opponents to prevail easily. He has directly used his authority to interfere with the electoral process. Due to the country's unique circumstances, over 1 million legitimate voters in the Philippines reside overseas. The Marcos Jr. government launched an online voting system last month to facilitate overseas voters' participation. However, as the voting day approached, many found that the voting system malfunctioned, with candidates and ballots appearing in chaotic disarray. Many overseas voters believe the Marcos Jr. government's actions amount to covertly depriving voting rights, and even suspect electoral fraud. Overseas voters are a core constituency for Duterte. Before heading to the Hague Court, he even personally traveled to Hong Kong to canvass votes. The malfunction of the online voting system at a critical moment is clearly a calculated move to undermine his support at its foundation. Additionally, with Duterte detained by the International Criminal Court, many Filipino citizens view this as retaliation by Marcos Jr., sparking significant public resentment. According to the latest polling data, Marcos Jr.'s approval rating has plummeted to 25%. Vice President Sarah's support rate stands at a high 59%. If this trend continues, the Duterte family is highly likely to stage a comeback. Once the situation reverses, Marcos Jr. will find it impossible to reverse the tide, because there is now an earth-shattering case awaiting him. According to Hong Kong media reports, the Marcos family is accused of draining the Philippine national treasury. Evidence provided by whistleblowers shows that at least 350 tons of gold of unknown origin was converted into US dollars through the Hong Kong financial system under the names of shell companies. The controllers behind these companies and the multiple multinational accounts involved all point to the Marcos family. Under Hong Kong's regulatory rules, transactions exceeding a certain threshold require a declaration of fund sources. The whistleblowing materials in this gold trading case reveal cumulative transaction volumes of nearly $100 billion. If the Hong Kong Monetary Authority ultimately determines that the gold's origin is linked to the Philippine National Treasury, the Marcos family will inevitably face criminal charges. However, all these investigations require the cooperation of the Philippine side. At present, the younger Marcos family still holds real power, so the relevant case investigations are naturally difficult to proceed. However, if the Duterte family wins the presidential election in the future, the younger Marcos is bound to face a full-scale liquidation. Therefore, both families are determined to win this midterm election. At the same time, both sides are also seeking support from external forces. The exposure of the Marcos family's suspected gold trafficking case in Hong Kong already explains a lot. The younger Marcos is striving for the support of the United States. Recently, the US and the Philippines have held large-scale military exercises, and the US military has also deployed anti-ship missiles in the Philippines. The Philippines and Taiwan have signed memoranda. Relax restrictions on exchanges between officials in Taiwan, also deeply involved in related incidents. These actions are actually aimed at currying favor with the United States. At the same time, the Philippines has frequently provoked and created incidents in the South China Sea, attempting to stir up nationalist sentiment within the country to gain more support. Overall, all current signs indicate that the struggle between the two major families of the former and current presidents of the Philippines has reached a white-hot stage. The final results of the ongoing midterm elections will be announced within a week, and no matter which side wins, it is bound to trigger a furious backlash from the other. However, for a country like the Philippines, which is dominated by various family clans and elite networks, struggle and chaos are difficult to avoid. This is because vested interest groups not only seek to protect their own interests but also strive to gain more power. Yet a nation's resources are limited. If one group takes more, another is bound to suffer. Who would willingly be the one to lose out? As long as such interest-driven conflicts exist, the country will find it hard to obtain opportunities for normal development and will inevitably bring instability to related regions. What do you think about this? Feel free to leave your comments and discuss in the comment section. This concludes today's video. If you liked it, please hit the like button, subscribe, and see you in the next video.